365 days. That's how long it took for a $108 million empire to lose $17 million. Stephen Furtick seemed invincible. His church survived planted baptisms, mansion scandals, theological controversies. Nothing stuck. The brand only grew stronger until 2024. The tithes collapsed, the podcast tanked, staff got cut, police started investigating, and the pastor who once filled stadiums went silent. What toppled a megachurch that weathered every storm? The answer reveals what's really threatening America's celebrity ministries, and it's already spreading. 2006, 14 people in a living room. That's how Stephen Furtick started Elevation Church, Charlotte, North Carolina. No building, no budget, just big promises about what God could do. Within 3 years, the living room became multiple locations. Within a decade, Elevation operated 20 campuses across 8 states, even Canada. The staff count hit over 1,000, the weekly attendance climbed past 17,000, and Furtick himself became a brand. Best-selling books, Oprah's Super Soul 100 list, a $1.7 million mansion that made national headlines. But the real power? Elevation worship, billions of streams, Grammy Awards, Dove Awards, charts dominated. The music arm alone sold 161,000 concert tickets in a single year. While other churches struggled to fill pews, Elevation was building an empire, and nothing could touch them. In 2014, a leaked memo exposed planted volunteers staging spontaneous baptisms. Critics called it manipulation. Furtick called it strategy. Attendance kept climbing. Theological controversies surfaced, accusations of modalism, watered-down gospel messaging. Easter invites that avoided words like resurrection and blood of Jesus. The brand kept growing. By 2023, Elevation brought in $108 million. The machine was unstoppable, invincible. Furtick had cracked the code, build the spectacle, control the narrative, keep the money flowing. For 17 years, it worked. But empires don't collapse from outside attacks, they collapse from within. And inside Elevation's polished services and viral worship songs, the foundation was already crumbling. The numbers were about to tell a very different story. The ledgers don't lie. 2023, $108 million in tithes and offerings. 2024, $91.35 million. $17 million gone in 12 months. For a church built on the prosperity gospel, that number was a crisis. Leadership scrambled. They launched a special year-end offering, pushed hard, pulled in another $10 million. It wasn't enough. Even with the emergency cash, the gap remained. The engine that powered Elevation's expansion was sputtering, and the expense side told its own story. Personnel costs alone, $31.88 million, more than a third of the entire budget consumed by salaries. Central operations and ministry expenses, another $25.29 million. The math stopped working. But here's where it gets stranger. Weekly attendance in 2024, 17,373 people, nearly identical to the year before. Yet Elevation reported 21,429 decisions for Christ. Exactly the same number as 2023, not one more, not one less. Over 2 years, that's over 40,000 claimed conversions. So where were they? If tens of thousands were making faith decisions, why weren't the rooms getting fuller? Why weren't the tithes increasing? The digital side revealed even more cracks. Elevation's podcast had been a major driver. Over 500,000 weekly streams in 2023. By 2024, down to 264,000. A 51% collapse in 1 year. The audience wasn't just shrinking, they were disappearing. These weren't just bad numbers. They were warning signs of something deeper. Something leadership couldn't spin away with slick marketing and emotional worship sets. The questions were piling up. But before anyone could demand answers, a scandal broke that no PR team could contain. If you want to understand what's really threatening America's megachurches, what the mainstream won't investigate, subscribe now. Because what happened next exposed everything. Tim Summers, next-gen pastor at Elevation Church for over 8 years, shaped the youth ministry, led worship events that drew thousands of teenagers. February 2025, terminated. The reason? Allegations from his previous church, Red Oak, Texas, Oaks Church, 2009 to 2013. Another youth leader there, Jerry Nickerson, confessed to inappropriate contact with a minor. That confession triggered a cascade. Former students started coming forward. Some described inappropriate text messages. Others alleged physical misconduct by youth leaders during that period. Red Oak Police Chief Garland Wolf confirmed Summers is named in an active investigation. Based on interviews with those who came forward, police believe something occurred. No charges filed yet, but the investigation remains open. Elevation responded by placing Summers on leave in January, then termination in February. The move was described as mutual. Stephen Furtick has not addressed the situation publicly. Not one statement, not one sermon acknowledgement, not one word to the families affected, just silence from the top. But the scandals weren't contained to staff. Furtick's mentor, T.D. Jakes, was facing his own firestorm. A federal lawsuit against Sean Combs referenced Jakes. Allegations emerged that Combs tried to use their relationship to deflect abuse claims. Late 2024, a man accused Jakes of attempted sexual assault dating back to his teenage years. Jakes responded with a defamation lawsuit. Then, during a sermon, he suffered a heart attack. Shortly after, announced plans to hand over his pulpit. Through all of this, Furtick stayed silent about his mentor. The man he called before every sermon. The man he consulted for guidance. Not a word. Critics started digging deeper into Elevation's theology. A sermon surfaced where Furtick said Jesus wasn't leaving his disciples, but changing forms. Modalism. A doctrine rejected by mainstream Christianity for centuries. Elevation's digital director admitted they avoid words like resurrection and blood of Jesus on Easter invites. Too offensive. Might turn outsiders away. The scrutiny intensified. The financial collapse, the attendance lies, the staff scandal, the theological drift, the mentor controversy. Each revelation stacked on the last. But the biggest question hadn't been answered yet. Who was actually running Elevation Church? Who held Stephen Furtick accountable? Become an exclusive member and support independent coverage of what the mainstream refuses to touch. Because the governance structure revealed something even more disturbing. 2023, Elevation Church cut ties with the Southern Baptist Convention. No more outside oversight. No denominational accountability. Who runs Elevation now? A board of overseers. Pastors from other large churches. Church members? No say in leadership, no say in finances, no vote on anything. Stephen Furtick's salary, undisclosed. Book royalties, undisclosed. Housing allowance, undisclosed. The church arranges bulk book purchases, creates a closed financial loop. Money flows in circles no one can trace. Property records for Furtick's $1.7 million mansion raise more questions. The deed doesn't have Furtick's name. It has Executive Pastor James Corbett's name instead. Why? No explanation given. Meanwhile, Elevation worship thrives. 2.3 billion streams. 161,000 concert tickets sold last year. The music empire stands apart from the church's collapse. This pattern isn't new. Gateway Church, Mark Driscoll's Mars Hill, Hillsong, all seemed invincible. All collapsed under financial opacity and accountability failures. Gateway lost its founding pastor to scandal. Mars Hill imploded completely. Hillsong's global network fractured. The cycle repeats. Celebrity pastor builds empire, controls everything, answers to no one, until the money dries up, until the scandals surface, until the questions pile too high. At Elevation, the cracks are widening. $17 million gone, podcast tanking, police investigating, members leaving. And at the center of it all, one man who built a kingdom with no checks, no balances, no transparency. What happens when trust disappears? The next chapter is being written now. $17 million doesn't vanish without consequence. When a church's revenue plunges that hard, when police investigations open, when the audience disappears, the empire doesn't just stumble, it fractures. Other megachurches fell the same way. Gateway, Mars Hill, Hillsong. They all thought they were different. They were wrong. Elevation's story isn't over. The investigations continue. The financial pressure mounts. The questions multiply. What survives now depends on who demands accountability. The next chapter belongs to those who refuse to look away, and it's already being written.